People think the highway is peaceful after midnight, a long empty ribbon stretched across the desert. But that's only what it looks like when you're passing through. When you're stationed out here alone, with a flickering neon light buzzing over your shoulder, you learn the road has moods. And some nights, it feels like it's watching back. I used to think anyone knocking on a patrol station door at this hour was looking for help. I don't believe that anymore. Not after what I saw last week. Not after what tried to come inside. They told me the night shift was simple. Stay alert, log everything, trust the rules. But no one said the rules weren't written for people, they were written because of something else. 9 rules to survive the night. And tonight I think something out there just broke one. Name's Mark Rourke. Highway Patrol rookie, 6 months in, still learning how to keep my coffee hot and my hands steady at 3 in the morning. I'm not one of those guys who grew up dreaming of a badge. I was a mechanic's kid from Reno, the kind of family that fixes things instead of talking about them. After my dad died, the house got too quiet. I needed noise, purpose, something that felt like it mattered. So I joined up, thinking I'd spend my nights pulling drunk tourists out of ditches and chasing speeders who thought open road meant no rules. They don't tell you about posts like Station 47 in the brochures. It's not a city precinct with bright lights and backup on call. Station 47 is a prefab box dropped in the Great Basin, like somebody forgot to finish a sentence. 42 miles from the nearest town, and if you blow a tire out here, you learn real fast how big nothing can be. The highway is a 2-lane ribbon cutting through sagebrush and salt flats, with mountains sitting on the horizon like old teeth. During the day it's just lonely. At night it feels older. Like the land remembers things you don't. Every night shift is 2 people, no more. Me and Sergeant Dawson. 17 years on the job, face like sun leather, eyes that don't blink unless he wants them to. Dawson's the kind of sergeant who doesn't waste words. He chews sunflower seeds, keeps his hat low, and talks about the highway the way a fisherman talks about the ocean, like it's alive, and it doesn't owe you anything. He's not mean, exactly. But there's a line he never steps over, like he's guarding a door in his head. First week I was out here, he handed me the keys and a binder. Night protocol, he said. No smile, no joke. Just the binder and that look that dare you ask why. I flipped it open, saw the rules, and laughed under my breath. Thought it was some old-timer prank, like hazing the rookie. Dawson didn't laugh back. He just stared until I shut the binder and nodded like I understood. I didn't. Not then. A week ago, we got a call about a crash at mile marker 113. No other cars reported, no witnesses, just a pickup sitting sideways across the shoulder like it had decided to quit living mid-turn. We rolled up with lights off, standard approach, dead desert quiet so deep, you can hear your own boots grind the gravel. The truck's engine was dead. Airbags didn't deploy. No blood on the windshield. No skid marks. But the driver's door was open, and the seat was warm. Not sun-baked warm. Human warm. Like somebody had just stood up and walked away into the dark. I remember looking around, expecting to see a guy limping up the road. Nothing. Just the highway stretching empty in both directions, the wind pushing dust across the asphalt in slow waves. I called it in, started writing the report the way they teach you at the academy. Dawson reached over, shut my notebook, and said, "That one doesn't go in the system." His voice was flat, like he was saying the sky was blue. I asked why. He didn't answer. He just looked at the open desert and told me to get back in the cruiser. After that, the station felt different to me. The walls seemed thinner. The night felt closer. I started catching Dawson watching the doors, the windows, the radio, like he was listening for a second conversation underneath the first. He never explained. He never had to. Out here, you learn quick that silence can be its own warning. Tonight is my first solo shift. Dawson got called to assist a pileup 2 counties west. He left before sundown, told me to keep the coffee on and the binder close, and said, "If anything feels wrong, it is." Then he drove off, tail lights shrinking into the desert, until they were swallowed by dark. I'm sitting at desk 2 right now, the neon outside buzzing like a tired insect, radio humming low, and the empty highway staring back through the blinds. I keep telling myself it's just another night, just me, the road, and the rules. But the thing about Station 47 is this: the quiet doesn't feel empty. It feels occupied. And somewhere out there, past the cone of our porch light, the highway is waiting for something to happen. That's how it starts out here. Not with screams, not with sirens. With little things that feel like nothing until they line up in a row and point at you. The first one happens before midnight. I'm halfway through a stale donut Dawson left in the break room, trying to pretend I don't miss the sound of another person breathing in the building. The station keeps a rhythm at night: radio hum, fridge click, the old wall clock ticking like it's got a grudge against silence. Outside, the porch light throws a pale cone onto the gravel, and beyond that is just desert. Empty miles. Open sky. The kind of dark that makes you forget the world is round. I'm looking at the highway through the blinds, watching the occasional pair of headlights sweep past, when the streetlight in front of the station flickers. Once, twice, 3 times. Then it dies. Not a slow fade. A hard, final snap into darkness. I sit there waiting for it to come back, because desert power is sketchy and everybody knows that. But it doesn't reboot. It doesn't buzz. It just stays dead. The porch light still works. The building still has power. The one light that marks us on the highway is gone. I tell myself it's normal. I write bulb out on the maintenance log out of habit. Still, I catch myself staring a little longer into that black patch outside, like the dark has teeth, and I'm trying to count them. 10 minutes later the radio breathes. At first I think it's interference. We get plenty of static out here: weather fronts, solar junk, old equipment. But this is different. It's not a crackle or a pop, it's air. Soft and wet and close to the mic, like someone's leaning in. In, out. Slow. I check the channel display. 1. Our main patrol net. No units listed nearby. I thumb the talk button and say, Station 47, copy traffic. My voice sounds too loud in the room. The breathing stops. A second passes. Then the radio clicks once, like somebody let go of a button. No answer. I stare at it for a while, waiting for the static to return so I can feel stupid. But the radio goes back to its normal low hiss like nothing happened. My skin doesn't get the memo. Around 12:40, an old pickup slides past the station. Rust red, late 90s maybe, riding low on tired shocks. It's the kind of truck I'd expect to see hauling hay or a busted generator, not cruising this stretch at night. I step onto the porch to get a better look. No license plate on the rear. Not missing, not bent, just blank metal where the plate should be. That's a pull over every time. I reach for my jacket, already running through the script in my head. But the truck doesn't slow, doesn't drift, doesn't even flare its brake lights. It just keeps steady at about 50, like it's on rails. As it passes the cone of my porch light, I see someone sitting in the driver's seat. I don't get a face, just a shape, upright and still. No movement, no head turn. Hands maybe on the wheel, maybe lower. It's hard to tell. What I do see is the windshield. It's too dark. Not tinted dirty. Like a film of dust or smoke on the inside, catching the light wrong. For a second the driver looks less like a person and more like a shadow cut out of paper. I take one step off the porch. That's when my gut says no. No reason. No logic. Just a full body instinct that feels older than thought. The truck passes and the desert swallows it. I stand there with my hand half raised, my cruiser keys cold in my palm, and I let it go. Back inside I tell myself I made the right call. A rookie alone, no backup, no reason to pick a fight with someone on a dead highway. Yet even as I say it in my head, I know that wasn't the reason I didn't follow. At 1:13 a.m. the doorbell rings. Not the front door buzzer we use for deliveries. The old brass bell mounted outside, the one you have to press with your finger. It's a sharp, bright sound that cuts through the building like a blade. I freeze. The binder is still on Dawson's desk. I look at it without meaning, like it might glare back. The bell rings again, Same rhythm. Not frantic. Not lazy. Just certain. I take my flashlight and walk to the door. I don't open it right away. I check the peephole. Nothing but the porch boards and black desert beyond. No headlights. No silhouette. No movement. I open the door anyway. I know I shouldn't. But I'm a cop, and people get stranded out here. You don't ignore a knock on the highway unless you want to be the reason someone dies. The porch is empty. No footsteps in the gravel. No car idling. No figure under the dead streetlight. Just wine pushing at my uniform sleeves. But on the boards, right in front of the threshold, there are footprints. Dusty prints, heel to toe, clear as a chalk line. They start at the edge of the porch and go toward the door. Only the toes point away. Like whoever made them walked backward up to the station. I kneel and shine my light. The pattern is wrong in every way. Step spacing too even. Too tidy. There's no scuff, no shift, no pivot where a person would have had to turn. It's a clean line of reverse steps, as if someone were rewinding a recording of a man approaching. I stand up too fast, my knees popping. I close and lock the door. I don't say anything out loud. The desert doesn't need help hearing fear. I go back to the desk and pull the binder closer. I don't open it. I just need it near, like a weapon I haven't learned to use yet. The station phone rings at 1:19. One short ring. Then silence. My first thought is that Dawson is calling to check in. But Dawson doesn't call the landline. He uses the net. The landline is for dispatch, tow companies, and the occasional state admin who thinks fax machines are immortal. The phone rings again. I'm already halfway out of my chair when it dies. I stare at the handset for a good 10 seconds. The station number is internal. The caller ID would show Nevada DPS or county dispatch. Instead it shows our own extension, Station 47. Like we're calling ourselves. The phone doesn't ring a third time. I tell myself that's good news. I tell myself I'm not shaking. At 1:30 I hear the file cabinet. It's a low, metallic thunk, not loud enough to register as a bang, but loud enough to snag your attention. The cabinet is across the hall in Dawson's office, a steel monster bolted to the wall decades ago. You can't open it with a breeze. You can barely open it with two hands if you don't know the trick. I walk over with my light. One drawer is open about 3 inches. I feel stupid standing there, staring at a piece of furniture like it might lunge. Still, I know I shut everything before Dawson left. He's the neat type. If a drawer was open, I would have noticed. I pull it shut. It clicks into place. I tug to make sure it's locked. Then I hear it again behind me. The same drawer slides open those 3 inches. I don't touch it this time. I back out of the office and shut the door. I don't lock it. I don't want to risk losing my key in a panic. I just shut it and walk away like a man leaving a dog he doesn't trust alone with his kids. The radio breathes again at 1:44. This time it's louder. Closer. The hairs on my neck rise so fast, it's like somebody yanked a cord. I lean over the unit, waiting to see if another patrol car is somehow transmitting on an open mic. Hello, I say, not keying up, just talking to the room. The breathing continues for 2 more cycles. Then a voice slides through the speaker. Not dispatch. Not a patrol unit. Not a kid on a scanner. It's my own voice. Same pitch, same Reno drawl. Deputy Rourke, don't check the window. I lock up. My eyes snap to the blinds without me telling them to. My hand goes cold on the desktop. The radio pops once and goes dead silent. I sit there trying to make sense of what I heard. Training tells you to verify transmissions, log abnormal traffic, call dispatch. But another part of me, the part that stayed on the porch, letting that plate-less truck go, keep screaming the same message, don't check the window. I force myself not to move. I stare at the wall clock. It ticks. It ticks. My breath is too loud. I wait for a joke, for a follow-up, for the radio to crackle into normal chaos. Nothing. The minutes slip by like oil. When the clock rolls to 2:0, I realize I've been sitting still for 16 straight minutes. My coffee is cold. My legs feel like they belong to somebody else. I stand up anyway, slow. I tell myself I'm not scared. I tell myself I'm doing my job. I don't go to the window. I walk to the back hallway to reset my brain with an easy task. Check the generator readout. Check the fuel gauge. Busy hands, quiet mind. Halfway down the hall I hear the roof. Not footsteps exactly. Not a full stride. More like a dragging shuffle, something heavy moving across sheet metal with no hurry at all. I stop, heart in my throat, listening. The sound travels from the center of the building toward the porch side, pauses there, then slides back again. I remember Rule 1 without opening the binder. The words burned into me the first night I laughed at them. If you hear footsteps on the roof, don't look up. I stand there with my head tilted down, eyes fixed on the floor tiles like they're the most interesting thing in Nevada. The sound above me keeps moving. Slow, patient. Like whatever it is, it knows exactly where I am. The porch light flickers once. The neon outside buzzes harder, like it's straining. The roof goes quiet. I don't move for another full minute. When it finally stops, I go back to the desk and sit down, hands flat on my knees. I want to call Dawson. I almost do. But I don't want to be the rookie who cries wolf after a creepy radio glitch and a dead streetlight. So I do what cops do when they don't trust their gut. I write it down: 113 doorbell. No person. Reverse footprints 119 station calling itself. Rings twice 130 file cabinet opened. Closed itself 144 breathing on radio. Voice match. Warning 2-3 movement on roof. The act of writing should calm me. It usually does. Evidence. Order. Control. But the more I look at the list, the more it feels like it isn't a report. It feels like a countdown. And somewhere in the black outside the blinds, the highway keeps running, empty and endless, like it's waiting for the next little thing to happen. 9 rules. 9 ways the night tries to kill you. That's what I think, looking at the binder. I don't remember seeing it earlier in the shift. Dawson usually keeps his desk clean, just a coffee ring and a stack of reports. But now, when I slide my chair back to stand up, my knee bumps something under the drawer. There's a dull thud, not wood, not plastic. Something heavier. I crouch down and reach underneath. My hand finds leather. The binder is wedged all the way at the back of the knee, well, like someone kicked it under there in a hurry. The cover is dark brown, the kind of old, cracked leather they don't make anymore because it costs too much and lasts too long. It's scuffed at the edges, the spine soft from years of being opened and closed. Across the front, in block letters faded toward gray, someone stamped Night Protocol Station 47 Do Not Remove. There's a sticker half peeled near the corner, the old Nevada DPS emblem nearly worn off. Somebody tried to scratch it out and gave up halfway. I run my thumb over the words Do Not Remove. I've seen plenty of manuals in this job. The kind some colonel in Carson City wrote to justify a grant. They're all boilerplate, all the same. This doesn't feel like that. It feels personal, like a diary that doesn't want to be called one. When I open it, the smell hits me first. Dry paper, dust, a faint trace of coffee, and something sharper underneath: old toner, maybe, or cigarette smoke from years when people still lit up over paperwork. On the inside cover, there's handwriting in blue ink. Several different hands layered over each other. Night shift only. Leave this here. Ask Dawson. And under all of that, in a tight, nervous scrawl, if you're reading this, don't laugh. The first page is dated 18 years ago. The name at the bottom isn't Dawson's. Some sergeant I've never heard of. There are notes, additions, little arrows pointing to margins where someone has written things like confirmed 3/12 and still happening, and don't test this one again. The rules themselves are on the next page. Not typed. Not formatted. Just written by hand in black pen, the lines pressing deeper into the paper the farther down they go. Like whoever wrote them got more and more scared. I hear my own voice in my head, narrating like I'm in one of those training videos they show at the academy. 9 rules. 9 ways the night tries to kill you. My lips move as I read. Rule 1, if you hear footsteps on the roof, don't look up. That one hits like a punch because it's not theoretical. It's not some weird superstition that might never come up. I heard it. I heard those dragging steps crossing the roof less than an hour ago, and I did exactly what the rule says. I kept my eyes on the floor and pretended I wasn't there. In the margin, beside Rule 1, somebody has written roof equals boundary. Don't acknowledge, it notices. Another hand has added, in red pen, rookie in 9 look, didn't last the week. The fluorescent light above me buzzes a little louder. I feel the ceiling like a weight over my head, every screw and beam suddenly too close. I turn the page slightly so I don't have to look straight up. My finger slides to the next line. Rule 2, never open the door after 1:17 a.m. unless you see real headlights. I glance at the wall clock before I can stop myself. 1:52 a.m. Well past 1:17. The memory of that brass bell hitting the air at 1:13 sharp cuts through me like cold water. No headlights, no car, just reverse footprints. Real headlights, the rule says. Not light, not a glow, real. In the margin, someone has underlined the word real 3 times and scribbled, headlights reflect on the glass. The other thing doesn't. Below that, in different ink, doesn't need a vehicle. My mind tries to rewrite the night, to force those missing details in. Maybe there was a car I didn't see. Maybe the timer on the wall clock is off. Maybe. But I know the truth. I opened the door when I shouldn't have. Night shift isn't about keeping people safe, Dawson once said. It's about surviving until sunrise. He wasn't exaggerating. I swallow and keep reading. Rule 3, if someone knocks and says your name, it's not them. A simple sentence. No joke, no wiggle room, not might not be. Not could be someone else, it's not them. There's a note next to it in cramped handwriting. Mom. Dad, ex-wife. Used names, voices, sick jokes. Don't answer. Don't look. Someone else, maybe years later, has added, no, they're calling patterns. If it's wrong, it's it. I imagine that brass bell again, but this time accompanied by a voice I love, saying my name through the door, soft and broken. My father's voice, after the chemo, asking me why I didn't answer. I feel suddenly, fiercely grateful that whoever or whatever is outside hasn't tried that trick yet. Some part of me knows it's saving that one, holding it in reserve. The neon outside the window sputters. The room dims for half a heartbeat, then recovers. I move on before I lose my nerve. Rule 4, the third radio channel is not for human use. Don't answer it. We only use 2 channels at station 47, primary and backup. Channel 3 is there on the dial, but every time I idly spin past it on day shift, there's nothing. No static, no traffic, like it's not connected to anything. On the page, someone has drawn a little circle around third and written, do not scan, do not test. It calls back. Below that, in shakier letters, voices don't match units. No call signs, no personal details. Will offer deals. Says it can fix crash scenes. Liar. My stomach clenches. The breathing I heard earlier was on channel 1. The fake warning about the window came through there too, imitating my voice. Whatever uses channel 3, it hasn't started yet tonight. The thought doesn't comfort me. Rule 5, if you see a figure standing on the highway, brake but don't stop. That one feels like something they should put on the state driving test. We get plenty of jumpers, the occasional drunk trying to wave down a ride. But the language is off. Figure, not person. Brake but don't stop. In the margin, if it wants you, it'll stand dead center. Looks like a hitchhiker from far away. Don't let it get close enough to see its face. Do not hit it. It doesn't move. You will go around it if you live. Someone else has added, in block capitals, head never faces the same direction twice. Do not look at its hands. I picture that rust-red pickup rolling past the station, driver perfectly still behind that too dark glass. If that had been me, on the road, seeing someone like that standing in my lane, would I stop? Would I be able to tell the difference between a person and something else? When adrenaline is screaming and my training says render aid? I'm not sure. That scares me more than any rule on the page. Rule 8, never look in the evidence locker after midnight. I frown at that one on instinct. The evidence locker is in the back room, separate from Dawson's file cabinet. A thick steel door with a combination lock and a key backup. We keep crash photos, confiscated weapons, drug samples, all the stuff we don't want wandering back out onto the highway. I've been in there twice. Both times during the day, with Dawson, logging chain of custody. It smelled like dust and plastic, like any other storage space. In the margin, someone has written night. It's different. Another note, in smaller script, some items not logged by us. Tags in handwriting we don't recognize. Older than station. Don't touch. Don't read labels out loud. The last line is barely legible. The ink smeared like the pen shook. Once you see where the crash victims really go, you can't unsee it. A chill runs down my arms. I rub my palms on my uniform pants. I reach the bottom of the page. Rule 9, if you hear Dawson's voice, check where Dawson actually is. For a second, I don't understand. Then my stomach drops clean out. Next to the rule, in Dawson's own handwriting, blocky careful, the way he fills out reports, there's a note: radio, phone, door. It copies what it hears. It likes familiar shapes. Below that, in older ink, used to be Lopez. Before Dawson. I hear my own heartbeat in my ears. If you hear Dawson's voice, check where Dawson actually is. The radio beside me snaps with a burst of static. My head jerks toward it. My hand tightens on the binder so hard the leather creaks. The speaker hisses, coughs, then clears. And then I hear him. Rourke, open the door. I'm back. It's Dawson's voice. Same drawl, same sandpaper edge, the same weary, half-bored tone he uses whenever he catches me double-checking something he's already checked. For a moment, everything in me surges toward that sound. Relief, habit. The simple human need not to be alone with this binder and this night. My muscles tense to stand up, to reach for the keys, to do what a good junior deputy does when his sergeant calls. Then the rule shoves through the fog in my head. If you hear Dawson's voice, check where Dawson actually is. I don't answer the radio. I don't move toward the door. I move toward the computer instead, fingers clumsy on the keyboard as I pull up the AVL tracking screen, the one that shows little blue icons for every patrol unit in the county. Unit 47A, Dawson's cruiser. The icon is not in front of the station. It's 43 miles west, near mile marker 70, exactly where dispatch said the pileup was. The timestamp of the last GPS ping is fresh, less than a minute old. He's still out there. Far from me, far from this building. Rourke, the radio says again. No call sign, no channel ID, just my name, stretched out a little too long. Come on, rookie. Don't make me knock. The lights in the station dim and swell, like the power is breathing along with the voice. I stare at the screen. 47, 43 miles away. My hand reaches for the binder and flips back up the page, as if I need to see Rule 9 in ink to believe it. If you hear Dawson's voice, check where Dawson actually is. I say it out loud, barely above a whisper. The radio goes quiet. For a heartbeat, the silence in the room is so complete it feels like a weight pressing on my chest. Then softly, the breathing starts again over the speaker. Closer this time, hungrier. I set the binder down very gently, like any sudden movement might be heard through walls and wires and sky. 9 rules. 9 ways the night tries to kill you. And tonight, for the first time, I understand something the binder never says outright. The rules aren't warnings. They're negotiations. We don't control the night out here. We just bargain with it. I broke the rules. Not won all of them. I'd like to say it happened because I was brave, or because I was trying to save someone. The truth is uglier. I broke them because I hesitated in all the wrong ways, and the night doesn't forgive hesitation. It starts with the bell. I'm back at the desk, binder closed but heavy in my hands, every rule carved into the inside of my skull. The station is wrapped in a thin, artificial darkness now blinds down, windows covered, that dead streetlight outside marking the edge of the world like a missing tooth. The porch light glows a tired yellow. The neon sign out front buzzes and sputters, trying its best to convince passing drivers we're still open for business. Inside, the air feels used up. My coffee is cold. My pen has left a smear of ink where my hand shook over the last line of my countdown list. That's when the bell rings. Ding! The sound is so small on its own. Just a polite little chime. The same one delivery guys hit when they show up with a box of printer paper in the afternoon. But at 2:09 a.m. after everything I've read and heard, it might as well be a gunshot. I flinch. The binder slips in my grip. Ding. 2 rings. Clean. Even. Like someone counting. My eyes go to the wall phone by instinct. Rule 7 burns behind my eyeballs. If the station phone rings twice, ignore it. If it rings 3 times, run. This isn't the phone, it's the bell. But the cadence is the same. The intent feels the same. A knock at the membrane between in here and out there. I don't move. I don't call out. I sit there and let the silence grow around the 2 notes, stretching them into something larger. Probe, I whisper, thinking of the margin note. My own voice sounds thin in the room. 10 seconds go by. Maybe less, maybe more. There's no second hand on the clock, and my pulse is adding its own frantic ticks. The bell rings again. Ding, 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 ding. 3 faster this round, like whoever is out there got bored of being polite. The lights die. Not a flicker. No warning. The fluorescence, the neon, the porch light, everything snaps off at once, plunging Station 47 into a thick, total dark. The kind that lives under desert rocks and behind closed eyes. The radio cuts mid-hiss. The fridge stops humming. For a heartbeat, there is no sound at all. Then, from somewhere overhead, the metal roof creaks like it's exhaling. My hand scrabbles across the desk for the flashlight. I knock the binder to the floor. Paper fans out around my boots in the dark. My fingers finally close around cold plastic, and I click the beam on. The cone of light feels too narrow. It catches dust hanging in the air, floating like ash. I sweep it across the room, desk, chair, door, clock. All there. All still. But the dark between them feels thicker, as if the power took more than electricity when it left. I don't want to check the windows. I really, truly don't. Rule 6 is for 2:02:15, and we're inside that window, and all the blinds are down. I did what the binder said. I should be safe as long as I don't give it away to see in. But humans are bad at not looking. We are built to check the source of fear, to make sure the tiger is still on the other side of the glass. Something moves at the edge of my flashlight beam. Not inside. Outside. A shadow crosses the frosted strip of glass set into the top half of the front door. It's just a suggestion of shape, a disturbance in the texture, but it's high. Too high. Whatever is blocking the light isn't standing on the porch boards. It's towering in front of the door. I feel my throat go dry. Slowly, as if that will help, I angle the flashlight up toward the glass. The beam catches the bottom of a form. Legs. Long, out of proportion, like someone stretched a person vertically and forgot to widen the bones. Dark fabric hanging wrong on joints that bend just a little too sharply. I force the light higher. The thing is standing right up against the door, so close I can see where its outline presses faintly against the glass. It has to be over 10 feet tall, maybe more. It's bent at the top, shoulders hunched so it can lean down. The flashlight catches only a hint of its head, a rounded shape tilted toward the window, like it's trying to peer in under the blinds. The blinds I left half an inch raised in the corner by the lock. My brain latches onto that gap with a kind of horrified clarity. It's not much. A sliver of darkness where the metal doesn't quite meet the sill. But as my light hits it, I see a gleam from the other side. Not reflection. Not glass. An eye. It's not shaped right. Too long, too flat, like someone took a human eye and pulled it sideways. There's no white, only layers of gray, and a pupil that eats light instead of reflecting it. It doesn't blink. It just adjusts, focusing on me. I step back like I've been shot. The beam jerks. For a fraction of a second, it snags the curve of a mouth below that if you can call it a mouth, no lips, just a slit pulled wide in what might be a grin and might be a wound. I hear myself say no, out loud. Not a command. A plea. My heel hits fallen paper. I skid, flail, reach instinctively for something to grab, and my hand closes around the blind cord. I yank. The blind snaps up with a loud, rattling clatter, slamming itself open. Just like that, Rule 6 is broken. For a heartbeat, I see it fully framed in the glass. It isn't a person. It's too tall, too thin. its limbs jointed in the wrong places. Its uniform is a bad imitation of mine patches, and seams where no real badge would go, details in all the wrong proportions, like someone tried to copy a photo from memory and forgot what human shoulders look like. The face is the worst, stretched and smoothed, features misplaced, the eyes too wide and too far apart, the nose almost an afterthought. And yet, under all the wrongness, there is a suggestion of familiarity, like wet clay pressed over someone I know and pulled off before it could set. It leans closer. The glass doesn't fog with its breath. The flashlight flickers once, and for half a second I swear its head is turned the other way, facing down the hall instead of at me, but its body hasn't moved at all. Then the light goes out. I slap the flashlight like that will help. Nothing. Just my own ragged breathing in the black. Something heavy shifts on the porch. The boards complain under weight that doesn't belong to anything with normal bones. There's a scraping sound, wood against metal, like fingernails dragging along the edge of the doorframe. Above me, the roof gives a long, agonized groan. The thing has moved. It's not at the door anymore. It's on the roof. I don't see it. I don't have to. I can feel it in the way the building shudders, in the way dust sifts down from the ceiling tiles in a slow, gentle rain. The sound of its movement isn't footsteps. It's a crawl, something big forcing itself along a space not built for it, elbows and knees grinding against corrugated metal. The radio clicks on. Not channel 1. Not 2. The little red indicator next to channel 3 lights up on its own. I never touched the dial. There's no static on 3. No comforting white noise. Just silence, too clean, like a line held open. Then Rurk. The voice that comes through is wrong. It starts as Dawson's, but stretched, like someone grabbed it on a screen and pulled the waveform sideways. The consonants smear. The vowels drag. Underneath, layered so low you almost miss it, there's something else, a chorus, maybe the hint of more throats trying to speak through the same words. We see you. It doesn't sound like a statement. It sounds like a verdict. My survival instincts go to war with my training. Training says stay put, secure positions, maintain comms. Instinct says nowhere is safe, move, move, move. I choose wrong. I run for the back. I tell myself I'm going to check the generator, to see if the outage is localized, if there's some rational explanation. But I don't head toward the utility closet. My feet take me past it, down the narrower hall, straight to the thick steel door of the evidence locker. Rule 8 is printed in my mind in 10-foot letters. Never look in the evidence locker after midnight. I'm not thinking about the rule. I'm thinking steel door, heavy walls, no windows, a box inside a box. If the thing comes in through the front, maybe it will pick the bigger room. Maybe. The combination lock feels clammy under my fingers. I spin the dial, overshoot, spin again, swear under my breath. The building creaks. Somewhere above, the crawling sound rearranges itself, shifting direction. It's not prowling randomly. It's tracking me. I get the combination right on the third try. The latch clunks. I drag the door open just enough to slip through and yank it shut behind me. The evidence locker is darker than the hall, the air thick with the smell of cardboard, old cloth, and plastic. Rows of shelves loom around me, stacked with boxes labeled in neat black marker, MV 12-2014/fatal/395 in homicide/temp-hold DUI/blood KIT. My flashlight decides to come back to life, dim and weak, beam trembling like it's as scared as I am. I sweep it over the rows, looking for somewhere to crouch that doesn't feel like a coffin. The rule says don't look in here after midnight. Too late. On the far wall, a rack of uniforms hangs behind a chain-link panel. Old patrol jackets, spare shirts, reflective vests. Gear that didn't make it back to HQ when its owners rotated out, or retired, or died. One of the jackets doesn't match the others. It's newer, darker, not as dusty. The reflective piping catches my weak beam in a thin, almost oily glow. There's a tag on the hanger, handwritten, barely legible. Unassigned. I take a step closer before my brain has a chance to argue. The jacket isn't just newer. It's stained. Dark patches bloom across the front and sleeves, soaked into the fabric in irregular patterns. Even in the bad light, I know what that pattern is. I've seen it on crash scenes, on shattered windshields, on asphalt that's had time to dry. Blood. Lots of it. The flashlight trembles. I raise the beam higher, slowly, as if I'm lifting a curtain I can still decide not to look under. There's a nameplate above the left chest pocket. Dawson. I stop breathing. For a long, rotten second, my brain refuses to process what I'm seeing. Dawson is 43 miles away, standing next to a pileup on the highway, complaining about rookies and bad coffee. He is not a uniform hanging in our evidence locker, with his blood dried into a map across the fabric. But the name is there, black letters on brushed metal. The jacket is there, still holding the shape of a broad-shouldered man gone missing inside it. My stomach lurches. On the shelf below the uniform, there's a box. No printed label. Only a piece of tape with the same tight, nervous handwriting from the binder's first page, Station 47, do not release. The building shakes, not a little creak. A full body shudder, dust cascading from the ceiling, boxes rattling against each other like teeth. The sound from above is no longer a crawl. It's a repositioning, a coiling. The steel door booms once, as if something huge just settled its weight on the roof right above it. My flashlight flickers. Flashes off. On. Off again. Each time the beam dies, the locker's darkness feels more crowded. The radio on my belt crackles. Channel 3. I don't have to look to know. The voice that slithers out is closer now, less stretched, as if it's learning how to wear Dawson's cadence properly. Mark. Not Rourke. Not Deputy. Just my first name, soft and familiar. You're in the wrong room. There's no speaker inside the locker, but the sound is all around me, thin and metallic, vibrating in the shelves, in the hangers, in the chains. It makes the metal nameplate on Dawson's jacket hum against the cloth. You broke the rules, it says. No anger, no gloating. Just stating fact, not one. All of them. I back away from the uniform rack until my shoulders hit cold concrete. I want to squeeze my eyes shut, but I can't. If I blink, I'm afraid that when I open them, the jacket will be full. I can fix it, the voice adds, almost conversational. I can fix the crash, the missing people, the warm seat. The image of the empty truck at mile marker 113 punches back into my head, the untouched airbag, the open door, the heat still in the cushion where someone should have been. You don't have to write reports, it continues. You don't have to lie for them. You just have to open one little door. The steel above my head screams. There's no other word for it. The ceiling of the evidence locker bows inward. Metal, protesting like something from the outside, is forcing its way into a space too small. A long dent appears, dust pouring from the crack around it. I broke the rules, I say, voice shaking. Maybe to it. Maybe to myself. I know. The flashlight dies for good. Darkness slams into place. For a second, everything hangs there, me, the uniforms, the silent boxes, the thing on the roof. The only sound is my breathing, ragged and fast, echoing off concrete and steel. Then the world tears open. The roof doesn't cave in all at once. It peels. Something punches through the metal with an impact that feels like a car crash, steel shrieking, bolts ripping free, insulation snowing down on my head in choking clumps. Cold desert air floods in, carrying with it a smell like burnt rubber and wet dirt. A limb punches through the gap. It isn't an arm, not really. It's too long, jointed in 3 places instead of 2, with something like a hand at the end, a cluster of fingers that aren't really fingers at all, more like pale, boneless cables, writhing against each other as they reach. They grab the edge of the hole and pull. The rest of it follows. The thing slides into the evidence locker upside down, forcing its way through the torn roof like a spider coming through a crack in a wall. Its torso bends in a way no human spine could manage, long legs folding and unfolding until it hangs there in front of me, suspended, head at my eye level. The borrowed uniform it wears scrapes against dangling insulation. Dawson's nameplate glints in the half-light, just inches from my face. The face wearing it is wrong. All the features I glimpsed at the door are clearer now, but they don't make more sense. If anything, they're worse, like it's been rearranging itself between glimpses, trying different combinations of eyes, nose, mouth, none of them quite lining up with where a human skull would put them. Its eyes, there are too many now, crowding the upper half of its face in a pattern that never looks the same twice roll toward me. Each pupil dilates in a different rhythm. I don't scream. I can't. My voice is somewhere else, a mile down the highway, hitchhiking. The thing tilts its head, or what passes for a head, the motion jerky and wrong, like stop-motion footage. When it speaks this time, the sound doesn't come from the radio. It comes from everywhere. From the torn roof. From the vent. From the gaps between the boxes. From the spaces in my own teeth. Sunrise is far away, Mark. Its many eyes blink, not together, but in sequence, a wave of closing and opening that travels across its too wide face. Let's see how many rules you've got left. And then it lunges. I don't remember making a choice. 1 second the thing was lunging, filling the locker, all elbows and wrong angles and too many eyes. The next, I was running. Not the trained kind of running, either. Not the tactical retreat they show you on slideshows. This was blind, animal panic. My shoulder hit the steel door hard enough to send a lightning bolt of pain down my arm. Somehow my hand found the handle, somehow the lock turned, and then I was back in the hallway with the taste of dust and insulation in my teeth. The roof above the main room groaned as the thing shifted, dragging itself through the wound it had opened. I didn't look up. I didn't look anywhere. I just aimed for the back exit, the service door that opens straight out to the motor pool, and prayed it hadn't learned how to work deadbolts. For once, something went my way. The door gave under my weight. Cold air slapped me in the face. I stumbled into the lot, boots slipping on gravel, and the station fell behind me like a bad dream. Rule 5 says don't stop for figures on the road. It doesn't say anything about your own cruiser. I dove under 47B, like a kid hiding from a storm, gravel biting through my uniform pants, the undercarriage pressing against my back. From here, all I could see were tires, the oil-stained concrete slab, and a sliver of desert beyond the bumper. The station's roof loomed just out of sight. I didn't look back. I didn't look up. I just lay there, cheek pressed to the cold ground, and listened. Something heavy moved across the parking lot. Slow at first. Testing. I could hear the gravel protest under each shift of weight, the creak of cooling metal as it passed near the other units. Once, the shadow of it crossed my little slice of view, a distortion in the starlight, a hole in reality sliding along the edge of my vision. It stopped, right next to my car. On the other side of the bumper, inches from my face, the gravel settled as if something had crouched. I held my breath until my lungs burned. My ribs ached. A trickle of sweat rolled down my neck, cutting a cold path along my spine. The thing waited. So did I. I don't know how long we stayed like that, predator and prey, both of us very aware of the other, neither willing to make the next move. Somewhere far away, a coyote yipped. The horizon started to pale, just barely, a thin gray line peeling up from the edge of the world. The night shifted. You can feel dawn out here before you see it. The temperature eases up a fraction, the air loses some of its weight, and the dark goes from absolute to merely indifferent. Whatever was squatting outside the cruiser knew it too. The gravel crunched again, this time retreating. The weight moved away, back toward the building. Then up, God help me, I heard it climb, scrabbling along the siding to the roof. The metal whined. Then even that stopped. By the time the sun finally dragged itself over the ridge, Station 47 looked normal. The hole in the evidence locker roof was real. The insulation on the floor was real. Dawson's bloody jacket and the box marked "Do Not Release" were real enough that the day shift couldn't pretend I'd imagined them. But the thing itself, gone. No prints, no scorch marks, no video. The cameras had died with the power and forgotten to come back when the rest of the grid did. I didn't wait for explanations. I filed my incident report the clean way, the way they train you, not mentioning the extra details that would get me sent to a psych eval instead of a promotion. Then I walked into the lieutenant's office and put in for a transfer. "Night shift already chewing on you, Rourke," he joked. I shrugged. Thought I might try somewhere closer to town. Somewhere with neighbors. He signed the form. Just like that. No argument. No lecture about toughness. Looking back, that should have scared me more.